pleasure to have this audience listening today. Um, Today's topic and today's episode is all about scaling and outsourcing. And in today's podcast, we'll be talking about several topics: strategy and consulting, recruiting and HR, marketing, virtual assistant agencies, e-commerce, and lead generation. So let's dive right in. Byron, it's always a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing today?
Man, I am amazing. I feel good. I feel honored to share the space with you, share some information, and eventually learn some information. So I'm excited. I'm energized.
Yeah, me too. I'm super pumped. So
That sounded monotone, but I am energized. It's internal.
Yeah, I feel you. So strategy and consulting. Let's tackle that area first, right? In order to make your vision a possibility, in order to build that solid dream of yours, it's important to first flesh out the details and put thoughts into ink where you're actually typing or writing your business strategy or your business plan. And it's okay if you're not sure about how you're doing it. If you're doing a choppy job, that's fine. If you're not confident that what you're building out on this piece of paper is a really great idea, if you're stuck, that's okay. You're still on that journey of figuring it out. And one way to figure it out is through consulting, having a second person. It could be someone close to you or an actual professional consultant, review your strategy plan and give you their own input. And after learning more about what their input is, you can reiterate and refine the strategy and the process that you're doing. So yeah, I love, building a solid framework is something that happens very early on. But if you spend enough time, effort, and energy into building that solid framework, things will get a lot easier from there because you'll be following the formulas and rules and the main goals that you set yourself during the strategy session. And when you implement it, it's all about going through the different milestones and the different completion stages of your business goals, your business plans. And it'll also help you understand what roles that need to be filled in. For example, when you're starting a business, you will know eventually what areas that you want to focus yourself. You want to focus on the business yourself, and what areas is essential to hire, contractors or employees to fill in the gaps for you. Because, as entrepreneurs, we always want to do things that we like to do, what we enjoy to do, and what we feel like can deliver great results. The rest of the work that's essential, like administrative work, ad hoc work, operations work, a lot of that can be outsourced. And in order to understand what to outsource, in order to understand what to delegate, it's important to go through the strategy phase in order to flesh out the work and responsibilities of your business to build your company a solid foundation, backbone, infrastructure. And once you have that built, finding the right fit for the right position is going to be second nature to you because you'll know exactly what you want to delegate and outsource. So early stages, focus on everything, focus on every aspect of the business yourself. Be a perfectionist, dive super deep into everything you're doing, understand the processes in and out. And once you have it all figured out, then you can think about automation, right? How was the journey for you, Byron, with strategy?
I am a product of the lot of conversations and information I've been exposed to. I like to incorporate what I feel as though is going to benefit me. I'm as much of an operational, I have as much operational understanding as I'd like to express artistically. right? And what that means for me is, as much as I value the creative aspect of business creation or artistic expression, whatever that looks like for me, I also love to have the understanding of planning. I love to have the understanding of an operational understanding of how this process is going to work at an optimum level. That's important to me. I don't think it's I don't think it's just enough to be an artist. If I'm going to be an artist, I feel as though that's a business venture, to a certain capacity. It doesn't have to be, but in this case, it is, right? So in that instance, how do I build an understanding about how to make this work? How do I understand about where I need to do my research so that I know where to ask the right questions to the right people to get the services done, not to get the information, right? And how do I figure out what this means for me, building my own companies, doing my own designs, implementing my own designs, marketing my own designs. I know exactly where I need, A and B pressed. And I think it's tremendous. It provides a tremendous level of understanding and a tremendous level of confidence. Because when I'm telling someone how to build something and I've never done it, you may sound like an idiot, for lack of better words. Like, you can't put that there. It doesn't make sense because you haven't taken the time to understand what you are really doing. And the vision is okay. The vision is great, but you have to know how the technology works. You have to know, how the procedures are going to be having to take place. And I found that when I have not done that, it's been to my dismay. Now, like in every case, I want to turn that into a positive thing, but that also took strategy, planning, and consulting. Asking the right people, doing the right, research, which comes into building your team and managing that team, or building your relationships and managing those relationships. It looks different for different people, but I found that having some degree of that implemented into your process or your practice, your business, whatever it is, your enterprise, investment, yourself, is probably to the best benefit, because that it provides structure and allows you to have tangible, if intangible, evidence to reflect on. Because we're learning, right? And you can't learn if you don't make a plan to start with. There's you learn, right? But in this space, getting it out of your head and getting it into a solution-based mentality, it takes all the worries away, because there's a lot of processes that you're not going to know. There's a lot of things that you're not going to know how to do, but you're not going to know how to do them unless you either sense of determination and integrity within yourself. I feel like they come hand in hand, and you understand I need to know how to do these things, and I can learn how to do it as much as I need to know it. I can build my confidence around those procedures. I'm very confident people can do that, and it's almost vital in this space, so you'll learn it.
Yeah, doing the grunt work it's not fun, but it is essential, at least during the early stages of being a business owner. And one example I can relate to is when I started Offsite Team, I would only focus on helping small business owners and startups with outsourcing services. And one of the biggest pain points that I had as an entrepreneur is approaching small businesses. The contracts will not last very long because early stage entrepreneurs did not have a solid foundation or strategy. They just knew they needed a lot of help because they worked long hours, but they did not know where they needed help. So finding the right fit for their team was a challenging task. And I remember when I would hire a virtual assistant for a business owner who was very new. He had his business was 6 months old, and he needed help to manage his accounting and finances. And he started giving the virtual assistant some work each week. And then it got to a point of time after the third or fourth week. He told me that I don't have any more work to delegate. I don't know what to delegate. And they wanted to pull out of the contract. And it made me realize that it made sense for me as a staffing firm to help businesses that actually have an in-house strategy. Either they have worked with a sales coach or a strategist who can help them define their business objectives and create a scope of work. Because once you create and flesh out a scope of work for what you want to hire for, you can instantaneously know exactly what you need to, who you need to hire for what position you want to hire. And once you do that, it just is so easy because the person who you hire for that particular role will know exactly what to do on a day-to-day basis. They will not need much management because they are already skilled at what they're doing. And the fact that you hire that skilled person for this particular task, you can get it off your plate. And that can only happen with strategies. And that's why when, I shifted my prospecting from working with smaller companies to working with companies that have at least some sort of strategy. It doesn't mean that they have to be a mid-sized company. It could even be a smaller company as long as they were working with like a coach or a strategist who could point them in the right direction. So
yeah, it matters, and that comes with like your expertise in recruiting and managing your team, right?
Yeah, recruiting and managing the team, I gotta tell you, it wasn't like easy. It did take me a lot of grunt work and efforts on my end to build the right team. But it was very fruitful. Before I started Offsite Team, I worked for a manufacturing startup, and my main goal was head of operations. And as head of operations, I had to manage every aspect of the operations of the business and running the company, the day-to-day operations, the administrative work. And there were only so many things I could do myself. So my journey with outsourcing began when I was introduced to the platform called Upwork. It's such a great platform because you can hire freelancers out there, and you can give them different projects to do, and it could be short-term or long-term projects. So that's where my journey with outsourcing began. I used platforms like Upwork and Fiverr to hire contractors, work with them, and build relationships. And as the relationship of trust grew, I started assigning more and more projects to them. And then it did get to a point where I would have regular check-ins with them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And I would want to learn more about, the contractors, their personal lives, because I knew I wanted them, working for the team long-term. So I started to ask them questions about their family, their personal lives. And once they were able to open up to me about it, I was quite intrigued. For example, working with a freelancer from a very poor country like the Philippines or India, I realized that one person is providing for 10 people in their families to one source of income. And it's a very satisfying experience to add value to their lives, because knowing that they're, number one, learning a lot from this job, and number two, they're delivering results, and number three, I'm able to not only help them, but in return also help their families. That's a very satisfying feeling, and that's what actually made me want to build my own outsourcing companies, because I really like adding value to people's lives. I hire from people in developing countries and give them opportunities, because not many people in poor countries have access to great opportunities like us Americans do. So it was satisfying giving work opportunities to people in countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines. And not only was I giving them job opportunities, in turn, I was also able to help my clients um, scale their businesses because the cost of hiring and payroll, hiring from developing countries is very cost effective. And for small business owners or business owners that don't have the finances to hire in-house employees, um, working with an offshore team is definitely very helpful. And just to dive deep into recruiting and HR, early on, I would have one point of contact, and when I wanted to build a bigger team, I would ask my contractor, my virtual assistant, to refer me to someone who they think could be a great fit for the role. So that's how I was able to build a team organically, by asking for referrals. And then when it got to a point where I needed to hire more skilled workers, that's when I was able to develop an in-house process. And just to cover more about how I was able to build a process, the very first step I normally do is when I meet with a new business owner or a client, I have a 15 to 20 minute intake call or diagnostic call with them to learn more about their pain points and understand what the needs and requirements are, as a business owner. And once I'm able to gather down the pain points, I'm able to flesh out like a job description based on their pain points. And then I will have another deep dive session with them to ask them more relevant questions about their business and understand the finances a little bit. And once I have taken notes of all of that, I'm able to build out job descriptions. So I will then hand out the job descriptions to my contractors who are already working in countries like the Philippines, India, Pakistan, and they would advertise these job descriptions on their social media platforms. For example, many of our contractors in the Philippines, they're part of some amazing groups on Facebook. For example, Filipino single mom freelancers. So they would post these jobs on those Facebook groups, and that's how I would have applicants and resumes emailed to me. Now, for every job posting that we do, we have hundreds of applicants, and we have to shortlist them because we want to provide the best talent to our contractors. And in order to do that, I would first have an internal team manually review the resumes, cover letters that were sent to us for that specific job posting. And after reviewing those resumes, we will shortlist them based on how relevant it is to the job description. After we shortlist the resumes, we would send those applicants assessments to assess their technical abilities, personality fit, and emotional intelligence. And after they complete the assessment, if they score above average, we will shortlist them even further. If they score below average, we will tell them that at this time your skills and experience does not fit the requirements of what we're looking for, but don't shy away. We can always assess you at another time when there's another job opening. And then the ones that scored above average, those are the candidates that we would build a database out of. We would interview them, we would run some background checks, and make sure that their internet connection speed is great, because at the end of the day, these are freelancers working from home. We don't have any physical office spaces. Everybody working at offsite team works remotely. So we have to make sure that they have the proper home office equipment. So we do a little bit of configurations there. We make sure they're fully set up. And once we feel like we're confident that this freelancer has all the tools, equipment necessary to work, we would then match them with the client for the final interviews. And then after we conduct the final interviews, that's when the client will make a hiring decision on who they want to work with, whether it's one assistant or whether it's a combination of a few assistants. But the whole recruiting and HR process, I never knew I'd be getting into that space, but it's a very fascinating space because I was able to make a big impact there. And now I feel confident that I'm able to, I built a foundation at Offsite Team. And right now, if a client's looking to hire an assistant, I'm able to instantly match them with the right fit because we have a database of candidates that we've heavily assessed and vetted. So that, in a nutshell, is a little bit more about um, recruiting and HR. And I know, Byron, you're in a different business. You've built an amazing e-commerce store, and I'd like to learn more about the process that went, the thought that went behind it, why you built it, and just all the hard work that went behind it, that made it such a great platform. Where right now you're also getting you're not just monetizing it for selling apparel, but you're also selling your artwork, and you're also making it open for people to pay you in digital currencies, which is very fascinating and a cool space to get into. So
Yeah, I got into the space because of I've always wanted to wear my own clothes, right? But then realizing that it's a part of a commerce system, and like how can I be able to market a message and really engage with others to have them want to wear that same message of peace and prosperity. Now I was figuring out how to get that message out. Now brick and mortar and the conventional system of selling your shirts out of your trunk and things like that was not bad, and having inventory was not bad, but I needed to figure out, for me, it's not necessarily about the inventory. For me, it's about the catalog. Like, how do I build designs? How do I get my designs really in the catalog and incorporate artwork that I've done, pieces that I've done? How do I incorporate my artwork into the same catalog, and then create an equitable process? Because every time someone buys something from me, I want them to feel not only that the money that they spend was valued, but then they have like a different level of exchange. They have a different level of relationship, transfer than conventional. And I keep on running into this thing called the internet. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, all right, man, I got to knock this thing out, because the message that I wanted to speak to people, it couldn't just be done through my Facebook. The message that I wanted to speak to people couldn't just be done on a street corner. Like, I wanted a global reach, and I had to utilize the internet. Man, it started with an ad. I seen an ad. It was like, man, you should be using this app. You should be using this store to create your e-commerce. And I was like, all right, man, it's 14-day free trial. I got hit on one of those, but I did it. I completed it in 14 days, got it up, finished everything. Because from there, I learned how to create my thematic interface for what my potential audience would see. I learned how to create the back-end pages and the links, and how to create navigation bars. And then also learning how to implement pictures, do editing on my pictures so that my logos and products all look well. They're all placed well. The pictures are flowing well on my website. It was great for me to first off jump into the space of building a website in general. I was going to pay someone to do it, but I needed a skeleton. Like, I needed to figure out, all right, I just need a template, so when I create another store, it'll be good. I use Shopify. The reason why I use Shopify is because their integration with a lot of other platforms is pretty seamless. Like, they're one of the leading platforms that I felt integrated into almost everything, in terms of having apps that you can exercise their certain procedures. A Facebook marketing app, an app to develop digital printing. Every platform has that same structure, but I chose what I chose. And in the future, I may transition. I really enjoy WordPress. I enjoy Squarespace, but I had to get my feet wet. So it was really important for me to understand it. I spent almost easily like 50 to 100 hours just watching videos on how to put this placement here, how to take this logo off, how to incorporate these badges that make your page have an official presence, how to get your SSL tags on your website, how to mask all your links. Like those were things that I built in that space, because making clothes and selling artwork was something that, first of all, there's always like the concept of the starving artist. Like I abhor that concept, because artists have been taken advantage of, and it's important to start learning about how to create a stake in your equity, have that claim, and then have a list of due diligence where you have done the work and you have cataloged all the work that you've done, because those things, I think, will become essentially like they'll just be like a flag, every single accomplishment, being able to build that, knowing how that I built that website, I was able to build more. I have the confidence to build more, and now I can tell my team exactly what I need them to do. I know exactly what my UX experience needs to be like. I mean, I know essentially how to code all the different, I don't know how to code Python, Java, I'm a novice, right? But I can kind of tell you how I want it to look. And from there, I know enough about the background space where I could go in and fix it if I wanted to, but at least I have the capacity to not be scared about having the conversation, for sure. Then from there, building out my team, figuring out the people that I want to incorporate in my art galleries, and strategizing on how I want to map it out. Really, in its early stages, still, it's an ode to a creator maintaining the equitable gain in the process, in the exchange of currency. That's all it is for me, because the money is exchanging. And I think we've talked about this before, and have people talk to us about this. Well, it's raining.
Yeah.
The money is raining. All we got to do is get our buckets. And figuring out and building these skills allows for you to just get more buckets out. You just capture what's out there. And in those spaces, I learned where I needed help, and that's kind of how we engage on another level.
Yeah.
And kind of our next topic is how do I find out where I need help, and where do I structure that help, and finding a virtual assistant, and what does that mean for me? And it's not that if I need a virtual assistant, it's a matter of when in these spaces, or when in these projects, or when after a certain time permanently moving forward will you need to incorporate these things. Because building the website was great, learning about how to do it was great, knowing about how to market it, wonderful, still marketing it, wonderful, right? But at what point am I going to build a team? Because from there I amplify the message, from there I amplify and optimize the procedure. And ultimately that's important to me, because most artists, entertainers, anyone in that space of creativity generally don't have the affinity for the operational understanding and the financial aspect, which is to everyone's dismay. And we need to build more of an educational process around that, which is kind of like what we're doing, and having that conversation, and eventually having tools and systems that people can engage in and learn those processes and procedures, because they're not going to know when they need a VA, right?
Absolutely. I really love the analogy that you gave, the starving artist and creativity in general. This actually reminds me of this podcast I listened to of Naval Ravikant and Joe Rogan. And in this podcast, I remember Naval saying something in the lines of embrace creativity because it's the future's last frontier. So basically in the podcast, he's like, automation over a long period of time is soon going to replace every non-creative job out there. And that's great news, which means that all our basic needs will be taken care of. And what remains of us is to be creative, which is really what every human wants. So, yeah, that's just, really cool, right? Because
that could either be inspiring or scary.
it could be both, but
Yeah.
in most ways it is inspiring because people love being creative, and the structures we have in our life right now, it's not geared towards creativity, but it will eventually be once robots take over, right? So
Hopefully not too much.
hopefully not too much, right? Hopefully don't take over creativity too, right? So anyways, going back to topic, right? Automation is very important once you have, your strategy figured out in your business, once you have the right people in your team. And in order to automate, you will need to build a solid team, right? In order to build a solid team, you need to understand first what your business needs. If it's just simple administrative work that's repetitive, maybe don't hire an employee for that task. If it's a repetitive task that can easily be automated for a very low cost, you have two options. Number one, if you're a great software engineer, you can build a script and automate that through a software program. Or if it's a task that cannot be automated through software, that's when it's time for you to think about hiring a virtual assistant. And hiring virtual assistants, there's two ways you can approach this. And I would always recommend trying the first way, because if you are a business owner who's frugal, it would make sense for you to directly hire an assistant on a platform like Upwork or Fiverr, where there's millions of professionals you can be matched with based on the scope of work you put out there. With Upwork, for example, if you post a job, you will have applicants apply to your position. You can see the countries they're in, and you can hire them accordingly after negotiating an hourly rate. But if you're at the stage of your business where you don't have time to do the grunt work of hiring an assistant, because a platform like Upwork and Fiverr, it's not going to be perfect. You may be very lucky that you find the right fit, and then you're solid. You don't need to do any other work. But most of the time, it's not going to be an easy process. It's going to be a hit or miss, because when you hire a freelancer, think about it from their shoes. Freelancers want to advertise themselves, and they want to reach as many clients as possible. So you're not going to be the only client they're going to be working for. They have different clients to focus on as well. So if you are looking for someone who's dedicated to you and work long-term with you, you may find a great freelancer, but if they find a higher paying client, they may not want to prioritize your work first. And if you lose them, you're going to have to go back to step one all over again and rehire and retrain someone, which is going to be a pain point for you as a business owner. So if you're at the stage of maturity in your business, I would highly recommend also giving a try to agencies out there that already have dedicated teams or have a solid process, an HR process that allows them to find suitable candidates. For example, working with an agency like Offsite Team. Offsite Team manages the payroll of our freelancers. We compensate our freelancers. We also coach them and mentor them on a bi-weekly basis. In addition to that, when a client hires an assistant to our team, we try to cross-train another assistant while they're training one assistant that they're assigned to. The reason why we cross-train assistants is because if for some reason the assistant has a personal emergency where they're no longer able to go to work, or if they found another higher paying client, we have a backup available who already has some foundation and knowledge of the client's business, and that can make the process a lot easier for the business owner because you don't have to worry about, number one, paying the contractor's taxes, payroll, because offsite team will manage it for them. And in addition to that, we also will be finding backup replacements if their assistant is not going to be available for a certain time period, whether it's an upcoming vacation. So we make the process more seamless, and that's one of the reasons why agencies like Offsite Team does charge a premium. And the premium is because we make the life of entrepreneurs a lot easier. And that's something that I've always been, obsessed about. I like to provide amazing customer service. I like to make life easier for my clients. And how do I do that? I would find them a dedicated assistant, whether it's part-time, full-time, seasonal, and make sure that we have prepared so that the client does not spend much time training the assistant, doing the groundwork. In addition to that, we also install time tracking software for all our assistants to monitor KPIs and productivity. We can also share the time tracking reports to the clients so they know exactly what the assistant worked on if they question the work that the assistant did for them. And the last element, in addition to all of this, we also have our team send end of day reports to our clients. Sending the end of day reports to the clients holds the contractor working for you self-accountable, because that way they're going to tell the client exactly what they worked on, what problems were encountered, what obstacles were faced, and any new opportunities they discovered. And sending end of day reports has significantly reduced micromanagement on the client side of things. And it also makes their lives easier because they're informed on a daily basis on the tasks that their virtual assistant worked on. So
Gotta know it's getting done, man.
Yeah, it is, right? So that in a nutshell is more about how you can work with virtual assistants or agencies. But yeah, the next step is marketing, and I'd love to learn more about your process with marketing and how you utilize marketing to your advantage when it comes to your social media business, your e-commerce store, and your practices.
In all the spaces, I would say I'm committed to like the science of thrival. I look at who's the most successful on each platform. I look at how they're successful, the things that people enjoy about them, the things that people don't enjoy about them, and essentially the level of creative expression that can be allowed within that model. And what does that model look like? I really enjoy like abstract art and subliminal and cryptic messaging, but I also understand that engagement with with people and letting them know what my message is important to me, right? And it allows for them to know where they need to buy and how they need to buy. So I was stuck in a medium between having my artistic expression, having this edge to it, and abstract expressionism, and also linking that to the plain template about how people know and buy products and services, right? So for me, I had to get out the habit of not wanting to post on my personal social media, because that would be the main place where I would be promoting myself to my main community. From there, I created business pages, and I created subsequent platforms that aligned with the target market. When I'm on Instagram, I'm probably going to be reaching a different group of people than when I'm on Facebook or when I'm on Pinterest, or TikTok. There's a different demographic, and I had to realize not only the demographic that kind of had more of an affinity with my mission and vision and tall tales and whatever that is, but the understanding that maybe I'm engaging with all those different spaces, and to a degree I need to be present in all those different spaces. So Facebook, Pinterest, Google, TikTok are some that come to my mind directly. Now we're not on all of those platforms, but we know about all those platforms, right? And I've learned that there's different ways that you can get on those platforms, right? There's different methods and strategies that you can incorporate into your business, practice, investment that essentially just makes sense. I also understood how to navigate. Like navigation is so important. That user experience was vital. And Linktree is an example because from there you can click on one link and see an entire catalog of different ventures that I'm a part of, or I want to give my, my energy to.
It's like the ultimate mini portfolio, right? You can add as many links as you want in there. And
Exactly. And those are small things. Some people use them for their personal, and it's just like LinkedIn, resume, and all those things like that. And you can structure your message that way. I found that if you're not narrating and writing the story, someone's going to be doing it for you. And I think we were talking about that as well, where you have your own personal page, your own personal portfolio. Now, if you're an employee or an entrepreneur, things like that become your portfolio. They become essentially the example of your expertise and your understanding about how to navigate different spaces and share your information with people. Those are the examples, and eventually you'll start to learn how funnels work, how to grab attention, the different processes and procedures that have people go through certain forms. So you gather information, you get consent to get more information out to them, or they buy a product or service. Having that, the understanding of the different marketing platforms made sense to me when it came to implementing product knowledge and services, whatever that is. But it all ran with money, which is one thing I learned as well, right? And how to navigate that and have strategy on my ad spend based off of the ad capital that I had for that specific message or business page. Maybe it's just to get traffic through there, and then finding out, man, the things that I seen growing up, I found that, oh, I could put my logo in this music video. I could put my logo on that side of that bus. That was groundbreaking for me, because you start to figure out the places where you want to be seen, you want to pour into. And then now that you're an entity where you can kind of spread a message or whatever that is, man, I may not have a TikTok, but if I can get someone to wear Hetepu on a TikTok video and it goes viral, then it's like, in one sense, I'm stepping into those spaces, and maybe we create our own where people are just dancing. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm knowing how to navigate based off of the target markets that I want to reach. Incredibly valuable to me, because that is the scaling and outsourcing. That is when someone sees something that I did 2 years ago, that's like, and they buy it, and 20,000 people go buy it from something I did 2 years ago. That's like creating, a materialization, right? That's me having wrote something out and then it being materialized through the efforts and consistent practice, exposure, whatever that is. So I mean, I'm definitely a fan of it. I learned it from the ground up, because I'm not social media doesn't come second nature to me. I look at it from a systematic point of view as opposed to like a social point of view. I didn't build a social aspect through later high school and later college and then after. So now getting back into it, I looked at it like, man, how can I create this message? How can I create like what I really have been in my life and the things that I want to share with the world, as opposed to being one dimensional. It was important to figure out how to not be one dimensional. I may have ATMs everywhere across the street, and on the bus, like, use my Bitcoin ATM or whatever that is, but you don't know that it's for me, right? So figuring out ways to market and not having to be the face was in some way important to me, as well as figuring out how to engage with my community and not be scared. You can't be scared of the spaces. You got to know how to use them. And that kind of goes into, what we were talking about in terms of uh, building an understanding about how to build your team. You know, building the team didn't come from necessarily wanting to build a team. I had clients, I found these clients, I built the process about how to build these clients, and then I wanted to be able to facilitate that message or system to my team, right? And that's kind of where I was asking for some help with you in terms of finding lead generation and finding clients, executing with those clients, and then just having the data, learning about how the data works and knowing about what that means and how that transfers. I think it's something that I was like, man, this is like gold, you know? This is reoccurring income, because you're continuing to build a database based off of people that, you know, have an affinity to your mission or have an affinity towards a certain level of characteristics that you know about, right? Like that's amazing.
Data is like oil, right? It is so lucrative, and you know, that's why is the company Meta worth so many billions of dollars? They're a data collection company, in addition to being a social media company, right? And I like, you know, the fact that you said social media, you can look at it in many perspectives, but most people are social media consumers. Very few people, and only businesses in general, or even influencers, they use social media as a creative tool, as a tool to create and market, right? And I think everybody should learn how to do both, right? Be a creator and be a consumer. If you are creating content on social media and you're spreading the word through ads, through campaigns, or whatever your strategy is, SEO, you're making an impact. You're reaching millions of people, and that in itself is adding value. So that's really cool. But yeah, if you know, a combination of lead generation with social media is, you know, the ultimate business asset tool, because at the end of the day, what are leads, right? A lead is a contact of a person working for a particular organization. And someone who is a potential customer. And the process of building and mining data to create a list of potential prospects that could be a good fit for your business is exactly what lead generation is. There's so many ways one can get involved in lead generation, whether it is through hiring contractors to scrape the web and build a database for you on a spreadsheet, or it is subscribing to a website that already has an automation process built in, like an AI tool or a Python script that can help capture leads from the internet. There are many ways to approach lead generation. The most quickest and simplest way is hiring a freelancer or a contractor on Fiverr and giving them a task of building a database for you for a specific target audience and a specific geographic region where you want to get the contacts from. An example would be, get me a list of software as a service business owners in Ocean City, Maryland. And just having a person in your team focus their efforts into creating that list for you is a good starting point to get your feet wet into marketing. Because when you start, however your approach is, when you let's say if it's email marketing, right? When you start email marketing, you want to build personalized email templates. And when you do that, you want to send it to a specific target audience. And let's say that target audience is soccer coaches. So you want to build a database of soccer coaches, and you want to collect the information like their name, their email, their phone number, and even their address if you have them. Because when you're creating a personalized template to reach out to them, you would want to include the fields that include their name, the address, their name, and their location. So the email sounds more personalized and hand typed than an actual marketing email. But in reality, you're sending it to, let's say, 10,000 people, right?
Hmm.
So that's the power of lead gen and automation. It's a very fascinating approach to marketing, and virtually every business, no matter what industry you're in, can benefit from it, because at the end of the day, lead gen is just the process of acquiring data, and data is worth a lot because that database could be your key to $1 million client, right?
And that's kind of what I was thinking about, is having the social media platforms to run your A and B testing, your marketing, get on those where people are scrolling every day, get on those pages. It's really important as we're building out this database to have your own landing page and your own funnels on your own page, because you're owning more of the traffic. You want to own more of the traffic. You're building more of the process to let them know who owns the message and things like that. Because Facebook, Pinterest, Google, the way I think of them are like brochures or like ad placements. Or they're like free ad placements. You need to know how to use them, how not to use them, how to eventually start directing traffic to your Calendly through your website. So you start getting all your analytics in line. You know who's actually going to your website, how many clicks they're doing, who's going through what process to buy, who's going to what process to deny, and what are these different processes that we're getting really a bigger picture from when you start directing and funneling that traffic to your platform. I found that is to have the highest success. It just seems a little bit more official when you have your own landing page, your own platform, that you're using these major platforms to help funnel in that traffic of the people who really follow your message and want your service or product or whatever that is. I find that very beneficial, and within that, my first lead was through social media. The first paid lead that I received was through social media. Now, I had a database that I had received from my own social media platforms, and the lead generation process for me that I found also very helpful was, you're right, man. I hired you to help me out, find someone to order all the data that I gave you, right? And if I would have done it, it would have been crazy. But once I had a team based off of the strategy that I built and the data that I received from the marketing that I was doing, I was able to incorporate virtual agency for a project and have our project be completed and have that help me out with first levels of marketing, first levels of my re-engagement or the doubling up on that lead generation. So yeah, man, thank you for that.
You're welcome, man. Lead generation at the end of the day is very fascinating, because at the end of the day, whatever you're building, you own the data, right? You built it for yourself. It's your product now, and you can use it in whatever way to monetize from it. So really cool story, man. I really enjoyed, doing this podcast series with you, and I'm looking forward to doing more episodes where, we interview guest speakers and we get to know their perspective, learn more about their business, and just be inspired and awed by, what products they've built and what impact they've created, right? So, thank you everybody for tuning into this podcast series. It's a pleasure to have all of you as our audience today. And we wish nothing but all the best and success with your journey of being a business owner and an entrepreneur. So thank you.
For sure, man. Keep on it. It's a life journey, and everyone has they got different levels of engagement, but just use it to buy your time back. Spend some time on doing the things you want to do. That's what we're here for, to help just provide insight and inspiration. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you everybody. So if you ever need to get in touch with us, write us an email. My email is mihir@offsite-team.com.
And I'll place my information on the credits, so we have my email's a little bit long, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
spell it out.
All right, that sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Bagua. It was a pleasure collaborating with you and looking forward to doing more episodes together.
Much appreciated. Until next time.